All right, Nick, let's talk about the Oklahoma Sooners. We already did a story a few days ago, about a week ago, about some really great freshmen coming into Oklahoma and just already having a great spring ball. But now we're starting to see that transfer portal window open and even more reinforcements, even more great players are coming to the Sooners. And I would dare to say they have two of the top transfer portal players now on this program. I think these are both really big gets, but the latest in particular, love this for the Sooners. We'll break it down here in just a second, but first, I'm Andrew, that's Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, the Sooners transfer portal window about to open, actually opens officially at the time of this video. It is open today on April 16th, Wednesday, but players already committed. Oklahoma landed a big one. Let's get into it, and we'll talk more about it on the other side. This is from over on X, at Hayes Fawcett on X. Great follow for all of your breaking, college recruiting, transfer portal news. Give them a follow. But it says Oklahoma has landed arguably the top QB running back duo in the transfer portal in John Mateer, who already was at Oklahoma, in the latest get of Jaden Ott, the running back out of Cal. I think this is really, really good news for the Sooners, just showing this team getting some elite talent out of the transfer portal. They got some great guys in this recruiting cycle for this 2025 class, but following up with some great transfer portal gets as well. I think this is a big one for them going forward. Curious what your thoughts are on this one, Nick. But before we get to you, Sooners fans, in the comment section below, let us know, what do you think about these guys out of the transfer portal? Who do you think makes the biggest impact on this team out of this transfer portal cycle? Do you think Mateer at quarterback, is he going to be the biggest guy? But Jaden Ott, really great player as well, and a couple of other big-time gets. Got Marvin Jones Jr. out of FSU. A lot of big-time players in the transfer portal for the Sooners. Let us know, who do you like the best out of the guys they were able to get out of the transfer portal in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what do you think about this latest news for the Sooners?
So I think there are a lot of reports, especially after the season, that Brent Venables was done. Oklahoma was done. Their move to the SEC had been a debacle. They would need a total unequivocal reset top to bottom to figure things out. But yet what we've seen is that's not the case. They've recruited well in terms of the freshmen. We talked about Fasusi in our last Oklahoma video. He's doing great things. He looks like a star already. And now we've got Jaden Ott, a highly coveted running back prospect. A lot of people were after this kid. You know, he was a all-conference player in 23, had a really productive season. Disappointing 2024, but that was mainly because he didn't get the volume. He was in a conference that had kind of collapsed, of course, playing for the Cal Bears, the Berkeley Bears, so it was sort of a weird dynamic there. He still is a really good player. There's a lot of people pining for him to join their program, and Venables in Oklahoma pulled it off. And I think this is one of the things where we can be a little reactionary sometimes when there's a bad year or a bad, couple years or whatever it may be. People forget Nick Saban in Alabama had a disastrous first year with the Crimson Tide, lost to University of Louisiana Monroe of all teams, barely finished above 500, and even though he had a good second year, he ended losing to Florida and then getting wrecked and embarrassed and humiliated, upset by Utah in their bowl game, right? So, and of course, after that, the rest is history. They became a dynasty, but these can take some time. Now, I'm not saying Venables is the next Saban. I have no earthly idea. There's a lot he has got to do to get Oklahoma even remotely close to the level of the old Alabama Crimson Tide. But sometimes we can be reactionary. There are seasons where things go bad, right? There are coaches where they have a few rough seasons to get things going. And if you look at the transfers, if you look at the recruits, if you look at the freshmen, and you look at the direction of the team, it is still very positive. Now, we have to see the results on Saturday. So we got to see wins. We got to see high level of football, certainly on offense. But I think if you look at what they're doing, they're still able to bring in big name guys and top flight guys, win over competitive players, bring in transfers, bring in recruits that everyone else is going after. That speaks to a healthy program. Collapsing programs, They're not able to do that. Collapsing programs lose recruits, they lose transfers. Winning programs or programs on the rise, they win transfers, they win recruits. And as bad as it looked last year for Oklahoma at times and for large chunks of the year, the reality is if you look at their offseason moves, they're moves that a winning program makes, they're moves that a healthy program makes. Again, we got to see the results on Saturdays. But if you look at the players, if you look at if you look at again, I think we talked about Fasusi as a freshman coming in, but there's a lot of guys. You could go down the long list. You mentioned a few of them here that are coming into Oklahoma that they're winning over other top flight programs that had much better 2024s and 2023s in Oklahoma. That speaks again to a healthy program, a solid recruiting pipeline. And look, you're telling me other programs in the SEC don't have as much or most likely more NIL money than Oklahoma? Of course they do. You tell me programs in the Big Ten don't have massive amounts of NIL money, or Big 12? Of course they do. So it's not a function of NIL. It's not a function of marketing or advertising or anything like that. It's a function that these recruits and transfers think that the Sooners are a healthy program. And look, I know the results haven't been there, but at a certain point, they keep bringing in these good players. I have to believe they're going to be a lot better. And if you look at Venables and his strategy, if it works out, he deserves a lot of credit. Again, I'm going to say this one more time, and then I'll hand it over to you, Mize. We got to see results on Saturdays. But, in terms of the results and getting better on paper, Oklahoma has been kind of crushing it.
Yeah, Nick, I would completely agree with you here. And I think there's a key to looking at the kind of talent that they've got. Obviously, as we alluded to in our past video, they really have some strong rookies. Michael Fasusi, really one that stood out, but Ryan Foje as well, really done a great job. He stood out as well. But I think we get to the transfer portal and we look, and when you think transfer portal, there's in my mind, there's two players that entered the transfer portal. There is quarterbacks that want more money, and they go around a la Nico Yamalova, or however you say his name, from Tennessee, that's going, disagreement, wants to go get paid the highest amount of dollars. Or there's players that kind of have fallen off a little bit. They still could be really good, but they came in as a highly touted freshman, maybe didn't get quite as much play time on the team that they went to initially. Their grades, their rankings fall a little bit, and then they hit the transfer portal to try to go restart somewhere else. And that's not the case with the two guys when they're talking about the top quarterback running back duo that Oklahoma is able to get in John Mateer and Jaden Ott. These are two guys that both, when they were recruited, were much lower ranked. They actually did better and raised their rankings through their play, and now they're higher ranked than they were when they came in as freshmen. And Oklahoma was able to secure those guys. They're not getting guys that are on a slide. As much as I think Marvin Jones Jr. is going to be a fantastic player, he came in to this college football landscape to FSU as a 5-star with a 98.8 overall grade if you look at 24/7's grades. But he came into the portal as a 4-star with a 92. Like I said, just a little bit of a dip. He wants a refresh. He thinks he's a better player than that. Goes to a different team. I think he's going to do great at Oklahoma. You look at Mateer, though. Came in high school, 3-star recruit, 82.6 grade for him. Then came into the portal, 4-star, 95 grade for him. Same thing with Jaden Ott, 90.4 grade, 4-star. Coming in to the portal, 92 grade, 4-star. So these are guys on the rise. They got there. They lived up to expectations. They've been really good, and they're on the upswing. And these players picked Oklahoma. I think it's exactly what you were talking about. This isn't a team that is in the downtrend. I think people think the health of this program is good. Like I said, people are overreactionary to a bad year, bad 2 years by a team. Things happen. It takes a while for the process to get trusted and instilled in a team. And I think players like Mateer, players like Ott, they see this team and they think, all right, this is a healthy Oklahoma squad that's moving in the right direction. We think our services could be rendered to them and do a lot of really good stuff. So I think overall, like you said, Oklahoma in a very good place. I'm really happy with what they've been able to do in both this recruiting cycle and this transfer portal cycle. I want to see, now that it is officially opened up, the more we see out of this transfer portal window, I think Oklahoma's going to have some really nice players that want to come play for this program.
Yeah, and if you look at if you remove the anecdotal stuff and you focus on just the data, you look at 24/7 Sports' ranking of Oklahoma, they're a top 20 recruiting class, top 20 transfer class in 2025 after being a top 10 recruiting class in 2024. Again, that speaks to program health more than program decline. And I think that's a really important factor to understand. And look, at Oklahoma, we understand the temptation is to compare it to a guy like Stoops. Of course, year 2, undefeated national title. But the reality is that just doesn't happen a lot, right? That's the anomaly, right? You don't get the Barry Switzers. You don't get the Bud Wilkinsons, right? Things take time for major programs, especially in today's environment where you can't just have a great recruiting class and then have all these kids go on to be on your program for 4 years. It's a different world with the NIL system and the transfer portals and all of that kind of deal. You've got to focus year to year to get incrementally better. There's going to be more volatility. It's going to feel more like an NFL team where you win 12 games one year and maybe 8 the next, or maybe 10 games one year and then 9 the next, and then 14 and then 7, right? Like you see in the National Football League. This new world of college football is going to introduce volatility, but if you look at the results and what the Sooners are doing talent-wise on paper, it is exceptional stuff. It's top 25 at minimum, and if things break right, we're looking at a top 10 playoff contending team. Again, I'm going to say it for the 4th time, I think. They got to execute when it matters most, when the ball is kicked off this upcoming fall, but the results on paper for Venables, his staff, his administration is really, really solid.